What is up, fight fans? UFC Fight Night Strickland versus Hernandez is going down on the weekend. Here are my quick fire picks for the card. Plenty of action to punch on with here. We're going to fire through them at lightning speed this week because I've got a life to live. The weather's mint outside and I've got to go touch some grass this week. Like and sub to punch-ons. If you enjoy these breakdowns, the button is right there. Just do it! We're sitting at 73% correct picks overall this year. That shit's fire. 83% on locks too. Let's keep the good times rolling. The card is pretty solid this week. They've chucked some fan-friendly fights on here to keep the Houston, Texas crowd happy. I think we're going to see some banger fights, a lot of finishes, and overall a pretty entertaining fight night. Geoff Neal versus Uros Medic should be fireworks in the co-main. Dan Ige versus Melquizael Costa is a very interesting style matchup and a good test for Melky. Some fun heavyweight slop with Spivac versus Delija. Jacoby Smith is on here. Zach Reese versus Michelle Pereira should be a laugh. The roid monster Carlos Leal is taking on Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. O'Day Osbourne's on here. And then there's a few hidden sneaky prospects that I'm pretty high on too. Alden Coria, Ramiz Brahimaj, Punahele Soriano, Jean-Paul Lebosnoyani, Yadier Del Valle. Yeah, man, there's plenty to keep us interested here. We're going to dive into the predictions and the main talking points for the card. Hang around till the end or skip through if you want the punch Ons Parlay for the week. It's a doozy for you this week, fellas. Time to punch on. Straight into the main event, Sean Strickland versus Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. See, here's the thing, you guys. I'm gonna beat this Mexican motherfucker and deport his ass. For you fucking guys. I'm gonna go to war for you fucking guys. Nah, I like Fluffy, man. He's a dog and he's sure to bring the fight to Sean Strickland this weekend. He's got that break you down style, in your face, standing in the pocket, looking to impose his will and break Sean Strickland here. Fluffy unleashed fury upon Roman Dolidze and Michelle Pereira and even Roman Kopylov. He's got a couple of wins over Brendan Allen too, which are aging well, but I do think he's just always going to win that paper scissors rock match against Allen, who's just like a wrestling pressure control guy, and Fluffy does that better. To win this fight, Fluffy's going to have to pick apart Sean Strickland, gas him out and break him. But when the fuck do we ever see Sean Strickland gas or break in a fight? Come on, man. Sean Strickland is not the best fighter in this division. He's dumb as dog shit, one-dimensional, teeps and jabs, talks shit, and basically does the same thing every fight. Super easy to game plan for. You don't even need to watch tape on Sean to know exactly what he's going to do. But what do you do? He's very, very fucking good at what he does. And if you don't have KO power to shut his lights out like Alex Pereira, and you don't have the goofy, unpredictable falling piano style like DDP, then you're going to be in for a long night against Sean. Izzy fucked around on the feet and he found out. Abbas Magomedov, Paulo Costa, Nasruddin Imavov, all of these guys are very good, but they just don't have the nuclear off button like Alex Pereira does. They also couldn't take Sean down and control him. His takedown defense is actually underrated. So if you're forced to stand and trade and have a technical fight with Strickland, he's just going to do his thing and piece you up. This guy's never been that good at hurting his opponents or doing damage, but I'll be fucked if I've seen too many guys who are defensively better all round than Sean Strickland. Impeccable striking defense when he's not just marching face forward into an Alex Pereira left hook. He's got great takedown defense, great kick checks. He's so good at keeping himself safe, Sean Strickland, and he'll shut down your game plan if you're not powerful enough to overwhelm him. I don't know if Fluffy is powerful enough. He's got good volume and a lot of good, well-rounded skills, but I don't know if he's good enough in any one area. So last week, I confidently picked Mario Batista, and I said he'd outclass Vinicius Oliveira and show levels to the game. I was bang on, and I've got to say I'm getting similar vibes this weekend. Fluffy's elite, don't get me wrong. I was probably going to pick him against RDR when they were going to fight because he's tricky in the grappling, and RDR definitely would have entered into his grappling world. But I don't see Sean Strickland playing Fluffy's game, and that leaves Fluffy having to outbox him over 5 rounds or knock him out. If Adesanya, Imavov, or Paulo Costa can't out-kickbox you or knock you out, I don't think Fluffy Hernandez is going to do it. I'm going to go with Sean Strickland, boys. I think he's going to be too tough, too well-rounded, too defensively sound, and he's going to be able to inflict enough damage back at Fluffy that Fluffy will not know what to do with himself. Eventually, I think Sean breaks him and gets the TKO. Later rounds. A decision is also very possible with Sean Strickland. He's not a high output guy who's known for his big finishes, but I've got to say, I do see him outclassing Fluffy Hernandez in this one, and I reckon he holds the gates at middleweight here. A lot of people are super high on Fluffy and calling for him to be a future champ, but I've got to say I've never been convinced. He looks nasty and he's fucked his opponents up lately. But come on, we're talking Dolidze, Brendan Allen, Roman Kopylov, and Michelle Pereira. None of these guys are on the level of the guys that Sean is fighting, or Sean himself, in my opinion. Granted, Sean hasn't won everything lately, and he looked like total shit against DDP, especially in their second fight. But I do think DDP is one of the best middleweights in the world outside of Khamzat and Imavov, and Sean beat Imavov too. I believe on a couple of weeks' notice that fight was too. So look, Sean may be cooked, he may be racist, he's bigoted, xenophobic, kind of retarded, and very, very beatable. But I fucking love him. He's basically Australian, and I reckon he takes care of Fluffy Hernandez quite comfortably this weekend. Round 4 TKO is my call. Decision would be no surprise either. I'm not saying Fluffy doesn't have a chance. I just don't really see how he wins. I can't really see Sean Strickland getting broken here, and I can see a few paths to victory for Sean. So yeah, give me Sean by double chance, TKO or on points, and let's keep this main event streak that we got running alive. We're going Sean Strickland as an underdog by late TKO or points. Let's keep running. The co-main, Geoff Neal versus Uros Medic. I'm on the fence with this one, fellas. Look, it's a decent co-main event. It should be fireworks, and I do think one of these fellas is going to get chinned badly here. Both guys are kill or be killed type of fighters, especially Uros Medic. But yeah, Geoff Neal too. Neal should realistically be on another level to Uros Medic. He's fought way better opponents, has lost to a lot of them like Carlos Prates, Ian Gary, Shavkat, Wonderboy, Magny. Yeah, he's got a pretty solid resume of guys he's lost to, Geoff Neal. You got to respect the strength of schedule from Uncle Geoff.
My name is Geoff.
Medic himself, he's been on a decent tear lately. He's coming off a sick knockout win over Muslim Salikov on that Bonfim versus Brown card. He's definitely earned a shot up the rankings, but I don't know if this is the one for him. I think it could be a bit too much of a step up. The guys he's been beaten are not exactly top 15 level. Gilbert Urbina, absolute shit can. Muslim Salikov, complete coin flip of a fighter. Tim Means, Matthew Semmelsberger. Yeah, he's got a lot of low caliber wins there. And don't get me wrong, Medic has looked good when he wins, but he basically either wins by TKO in the first 2 rounds or he gets chinned in the first 2 rounds. That's pretty much been his entire career in the UFC. I think there's maybe one fight he won in the 3rd round, but that's it. Geoff Neal has got a bit more experience and he can play the long game, even if things haven't been going that well for him lately. And look, part of me is worried that Unk's chin is gone and he's going to get slept. I have gone back and forth on this one, and I think I've eventually settled on Geoff Neal by round 1 KO. Getting chinned by Carlos Prates is not uncommon these days. The man slept Leon Edwards so bad that he was out cold smiling on Jeffrey's Island. I think Geoff Neal wins these ones, bro. He's not top level, but he's shown an ability to hang in there with good fighters and win the fights against the guys who are more that lower end of the rankings. I don't see Uros Medic as some like future champ or top 5 guy, and even though he probably has a bit more momentum and youth on his side than Geoff Neal, I just can see this one going bad for Uros Medic. I reckon he comes in looking to get Geoff Neal out of there, maybe puts a good one on his chin early and Geoff Neal just survives, shows us he's still got something of a chin left, and then Uros gasses himself out, Neal wrestles back up and they get back after it. Uros has a bit of an adrenaline dump, gets sloppy, and Geoff Neal takes over and knocks him out late in round 1 or maybe early round 2. I can see this being a scrappy, entertaining, back and forth fight where both guys get hurt, but one of them fades and gets slept. So a pretty coin flippy fight. I wouldn't be surprised either way. I'm going to side with the experience and power of Geoff Neal to win this by early rounds TKO. Feature fight, Dan Ige versus Melquizael Costa. Man, I don't know about this one really either, to be honest. I like both of these guys, and look, part of me believes that Melquizael Costa is just on some generational run, just disposing of these mid-level guys at featherweight, and he's just going to keep doing it forever and ever. Listen to the shit cans that this guy's taken care of. Shayla Nerdium Beke, Andre Philly, Christian Rodriguez, Julian Arosa, and most recently Morgan Charrier. This guy's basically playing bingo with the bums at featherweight. But I don't think Dan Ige is a bum. I think this is Costa's hardest fight outside of maybe Steve Garcia that he's had. Steve Garcia knocked him the fuck out too. He fucked him up with a knee and smashed him on the ground. Dan Ige is also known for his knockout power. Maybe not his knees, but he's got dynamite in his hands. And that's my biggest worry here for Melquizael Costa. He can be chinned, and Dan 50k Ige is no joke. He's been in there with much better opponents too. Diego Lopez, Lerone Murphy, Josh Emmett, Movsar Evloev. He's fought the who's who at featherweight. Yeah, look, I honestly don't know who's going to win this fight. I've changed my pick back and forth about 5 times here. I like Melquizael Costa, bro. He did just sleep Morgan Charrier out bad, who, like Dan Ige, is a stocky little midget. He did that with a big head kick. It was fucking sick. And look, Dan Ige is going to have to watch out for that. But I think Ige will be wise to that shit. He's actually really hard to finish. In fact, I don't think Dan Ige's ever been finished in his career. And I don't see Melquizael Costa being the first guy to do it. There's no way that lightning strikes twice and he fluke head kick KOs Dan Ige. I think Ige is going to have better boxing, a lower base to stuff takedowns. What I'm not sure of is if Dan Ige will be able to keep Melquizael Costa off him. Melky likes to push his opponents up against the cage and start things off with a body lock, then work his way to the back, get the hooks in and, get on the backpack. Ige can get out-grappled just by being lazy and having low output, and I don't fully trust his ability to not get taken down or to get back up if he does. I don't think he's going to get submitted though either. He's pretty hard to finish, like I said. Honestly, after going back and forth, I feel like this has a Dan Ige upset TKO written all over it. Ige's got good hands, and yeah, he's a bit one-dimensional and he doesn't have much else, but he's rock solid with the striking. Definitely could do with having a bit higher output and better fight IQ, but I think he's in with a shot here. When I first saw this fight get announced, I was thinking it was a horrible matchup for Ige due to the reach and the jiu-jitsu, but I've come around a bit, mostly from watching how well Ige did against Diego Lopez and then seeing how well Lopez did against Volk. But at the same time, I do feel like this could be Alonzo Metafield talking here, so I'm going to slap the Alonzo Metafield, watch this pick, be careful, pick Dan Ige at your own risk. I think Melquizael Costa is good. He's not great though. He's not top 10 level. And I reckon he'll be winning the fight until he isn't. Just like with the Steve Garcia fight. I reckon Melquizael Costa wins the first round, maybe the first two, and then eventually just gets nuked by a big Dan Ige overhand that completely changes the fight and then gets TKO'd to ground and pound in the later rounds. So, riskily, give me the upset pick of Dan Ige by KO, holding the gates once again. Bit of a theme with this card, but I wouldn't be shocked to see a Melquizael Costa win by decision either. But we're going to go with Dan 50k Ige. Sergey Spivac versus Ante Delija. Another big heavyweight slobber knocker here. Basically, they all are these days. Heavyweight's dog shit. Ante Delija, look, respect to this man for how active he's been. I think in this fight, he chins Sergey Spivac. I think he's got heavier hands. I don't know about his grappling, but he was good enough to shuck off Marcin Tybura in his debut. I don't think Spivac is some elite dominant grappler anyway. I think he's just going to plot in, shoot a couple of awful takedowns, get him stuffed, gas out, go all timid, then get backed up and get whooped to the body and the head up against the fence by Ante Delija. I reckon the first good shot that clips Spivac puts him down and the ref's going to jump in nice and early. Round 1 TKO for Ante Delija. I reckon his hands are decent and he almost beat Waldo Cortez Acosta with an eye poke though, but hey, they're legal in the UFC. So Delija might just use another eye poke to his advantage, gouge the skull of Spivac, and then while Spivac's fumbling around in his eyelids, Delija's going to plant one on his big, ugly, bald head and sleep him. Ante Delija, round 1 TKO. First time I've picked him in his UFC career. Watch the cunt lose now. Jacoby Smith versus Josiah Harrell. Apparently this Josiah Harrell guy is pretty legit. Both blokes here are 11-0, undefeated. I'm going to have to take your word for it though. I haven't watched him fight, but I have seen Kobe, and even though he didn't finish Nico Price in the first 5 seconds, so a lot of people were really disappointed in him and calling him a fraud, I've seen enough in Jacoby Smith to know he's a big, strong unit. He's got very good grappling, heavy hands, nasty ground and pound, speed, power, and just about everything else you need to finish a bloke in the welterweight division.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
I reckon the UFC's made him an offering here. Someone's O has got to go, and I think it's going to be Josiah Harrell's, unfortunately for him. I had Kobe in my prospects who will 100% be ranked in 2026 video. Check that one out if you haven't. I'll chuck the link in the description. Yeah, look, I like Jacoby Smith. I reckon he destroys this poor sacrifice that the UFC's made to him here. Round 1, TKO, after a wild back and forth scrap, Kobe's going to pick him up and dump him down with a takedown, land some massive elbows, bust this bloke up and finish him with a great deal of violence and blood. I cannot wait. Jacoby Smith is a confident pick. Zachary Reese versus Michel Pereira. How the mighty have fallen. I used to be really high on Michel Pereira. I thought this guy was about to go on a generational run at middleweight and backflip KO half the roster. I wish it happened. This guy was super entertaining when he was winning. I remember when he cheated his ass off and then KO'd and submitted Ihor Pereira in the same fight. It was absolute cinema. Unfortunately, the world fucking sucks and we can't have nice things. And now he's coming off 3 losses in a row, including an absolutely humiliating, career-ending knockout loss to the great Kyle Dorcas. Michel's fall-off must be studied and understood. I cannot believe the UFC's given him another chance. Look, I'm not that high on Zachary Reese, but he is a fucking dog. He's always in a fun fight, kill or be killed, and that's how this fight will be. It's impossible to predict with confidence. Both of these guys are going to go out swinging and try to take each other's heads off. Zach Reese showed me a bit of toughness and grit in his last fight against Jackson McVeigh that it makes me think he was going to be able to withstand anything that Michel Pereira throws at him. And we know that once Pereira has thrown 2 spinning back kicks and a Superman punch from off the cage, he's going to completely gas out in half a round and then get completely dog-walked and mollywopped. So look, all Zach Reese has got to do is bob and weave for 3 minutes and he's probably got this one in the bag. But there is absolutely a chance that Zach Reese gets caught. He's not great defensively. Jackson McVeigh was having plenty of success against him early in that fight with the knees. Azamat Bakoyev bounced this cunt's head off the canvas like Derek Lewis did to Alexander Volkov. So if Michel Pereira is back in any sort of way, he could absolutely fucking destroy Zach Reese, who is not high level whatsoever. Boys, the doom index is rising around this fight. I sense a red mist descending. Something fucked up is bound to happen in this fight. So I'm going to let fate decide this one. It's coin flip time. Michel Pereira likes to do flips, so let's flip away. Heads is Zachary Reese. Tails is Michel Pereira. Bombaclat. There it is, boys. It's heads. So we're going to go with Zachary Reese. I'm going to say by TKO round 1. I think Michel Pereira is done and the coin
has spoken.
Rightio, on to the prelims and the quick fix. I'm going to fire these ones off nice and quickly. First headliner of the prelims, it's Chidi Njokuani versus Carlos Leal. I'm going to go with Carlos Leal here. Yeah, he just got chinned badly by Muslim Salikov, and that's not aging well at all. But Chitty Chitty Bang Bang got banged up and choked out by Jake the Snake Matthews in round 1. So much of a muchness. I reckon Leal's on better roids than Chitty, and I reckon he wins this by decision. Should be a back and forth fight. Maybe Chitty wins the 3rd round and the 2nd is close. Could be a split decision. Either way, very possible because Carlos Leal is pretty one-dimensional and he just charges forward, heavy breathing at you and flexing his chest acne. But yeah, I'm going to go with Carlos Leal bouncing back and winning by decision. Close one. People say robbery after, but who gives a fuck? O'Day Osbourne versus Alabi Idiris. I like O'Day Osbourne, bro. I keep missing picks because I keep picking him and he loses, but he's always in a good close scrap. One of the most fun guys to watch at flyweight. His record is complete arse, but the UFC keeps him around because he's entertaining and he's never really getting destroyed, just usually outworked or caught.
I got caught. You got dominated. It's a huge difference.
I mean, yeah, he has been knocked out a few times, but it's always a fun fight up until then. Alabi Idiris, look, I don't know much about this bloke other than he was on the Ultimate Fighter or the Contender or something. I think it was the Ultimate Fighter. He looked shit against Joseph Morales in his UFC debut. Yeah, he lost the Ultimate Fighter tournament there. Looked very average. I don't want to pick him until I've seen otherwise. Maybe this is a fight where he looks better, but I reckon this will be an even scrap. They're probably on each other's level, to be honest. I reckon we get a fun, action-packed, scrappy grappling fight where these guys are rolling around like footballs, trying to snatch up chokes on each other. Both guys hurt and rocked all over the place. Possible fight of the night, but I reckon it ends with O'Day Osbourne snatching up a rear naked choke or like an arm triangle, guillotine maybe, something like that, and putting Alabi Idiris away. So give me O'Day Osbourne by round 3 submission in a sick, fun flyweight fight. Alden Coria versus Louis Gurule. Here's another guy from my prospects who are going to be ranked video, Alden Coria. Look, I've seen enough from him already against Nono Costa to say he's going to be a decent contender at flyweight. The division's pretty shallow anyway, so anyone who's got a bit of go about him, I reckon they're in with a good chance. Louis Gurule, people are pretty high on him for a little while, but he's not been that flash in the UFC. He himself lost to O'Day Osbourne and Jesus Aguilar, and I reckon he loses another one here to the up-and-coming, young, hungry Alden Coria. 2nd round TKO for the Cobra. Decision maybe, but yeah, it's a confident Alden Coria pick. I'm locking him in this week. These guys, like I said, they will 100% be ranked this year, and beating Louis Gurule is just going to get him one step closer to that number. So mark my words, lock it in. Alden Coria makes this one look easy. Jocelyn Edwards versus Nora Cornolle. Leon Edwards' little sister is versing the cornhole. Yeah, look, just the usual shit break here, fellas. Apparently these chicks fought each other before. The cornhole won. What's to say it won't happen again? Couldn't give a fuck. Let's go cornhole by decision again. Ramiz Brahimaj versus Punahele Soriano. Both of these blokes are sick. It's kind of insulting how far down the card they are here. This one's got fight of the night potential too. I reckon both of these blokes are prospects at welterweight, and both of them I didn't pick in their last fights and they won. I feel a bit less stupid about picking Nikolai Veretennikov to beat Punahele Soriano than I do picking Austin Vanderford to beat Ramiz Brahimaj. Brahimaj is a submission ace, and he's going to have plenty of tricks up his sleeve if Punahele tries to grapple, which he often does. Puna is a fucking tank though, bro. I would not want to fight this guy. He's got heavy hands, big power, and good boxing, and he mixes in takedowns well. He's lacking a bit in the jiu-jitsu department though. He often just wrestles for control and to land ground and pound. I think he will take Ramiz down at some point, but I reckon Ramiz will be prepared for that, and he's going to be ready to shoot that ghillie. Ramiz has got 3 wins in a row in the first round, the last 2 in a row by guillotine. He's also got a bunch of rear naked chokes before as well. I reckon one of those 2 outcomes is going to happen in this fight. I'm going to say rear naked. I reckon Puna tags him up on the feet a bit, starts feeling himself, tries to shoot a takedown at the end of the round to secure it, and Ramiz is going to pull a ghillie. Puna's going to twist out of it, but expose his back. Ramiz scrambles onto the back, sinks in the hooks, and gets a late round 1 or 2 rear naked choke. So we're going to go with submission win for Ramiz Brahimaj. Phil Rowe versus Jean-Paul Lebosnoyani. I'm picking Lebosnoyani by submission here. Not really based on what I know about him. I've seen a little bit of him. I think he's a decent guy, built like a tank. He's got a few good submission wins. He's coming off a sick matrix move, head kick, right hand combo on the Contender Series. But I'm more so just picking this fight based on how shit I think Phil Rowe is. He's a professional loser in my opinion, a complete victim, absolute cannon fodder for an up-and-coming powerful guy like Jean-Paul Lebosnoyani. Let's go with the confident pick of Jean-Paul by club and sub round 2. Looks like we're going to get a lot of finishes on this card, boys. I'm hyped. Jordan Leavitt versus Yadir Del Valle. Again, what the fuck is this guy doing so low down on the card? Yadir Del Valle I'm talking about. Jordan Leavitt is shit. This future champ, absolute beast, alpha giga chad Yadir Del Valle is a problem for the entire fucking featherweight division. He's going to have no trouble whatsoever destroying Jordan Leavitt anywhere this fight goes. This is probably the most confident pick I've ever made on the channel, and I've predicted some fucking Otiba Gautier fights. We are going to handedly lock in Yadir Del Valle to win this fight by however he wants. I'm going to say submission just because Jordan Leavitt is a grappling guy and it's going to go to the ground probably at some point, but I wouldn't be surprised if Yadir just feints a level change and then goes upstairs with a head kick or a right hand or something and sleeps Jordan Leavitt. I'll say safe option, Yadir Del Valle by round 1 submission, rear naked choke. I have never put a more confident lock on in my life. Yadir Del Valle is the new dog in the yard and he belongs to the top. And Juliana Miller versus Carly Judice. Inconsequential fight, women's MMA, don't know jack shit about either of them. Absolute banger to open up the card here, folks. If you don't know, now you know. I'm going with Carly Judice by decision. Juliana Miller is tough, but she fucking sucks. Got no skill or technique whatsoever. Just a random ganger from the club who likes to scrap. Reminds me of the Catch Me Outside, how about that chick all grown up and signed to the UFC. I reckon Carly Judice is going to dance around Juliana Miller like Claudia Segula did the other week to Priscilla Cachoeira. She'll just do enough. She'll look a bit cleaner. Maybe Miller has a moment or two, but Judice is going to be clean and technical enough to get it done. Maybe lay on top of the other bitch for a bit too. So Carly Judice, decision, easy pick. All right, we'll quickly fire off the Ons Parlay now, fellas. We hit one last week with the guys. Didn't quite get the methods right, but so we're going to go a little bit less heavy on the methods this week. So the first leg, I've got a 5-legger for you this week. Yes, you heard that right. 5 legs, and they're all solid gold. First leg, it's got to be Yadir Del Valle, boys. We're going to go with Yadir by just on the nose win. I think the fact that he could win this fight any way he likes to means that there's a lot of outcomes that could happen here. He's better than Jordan Leavitt on the feet, on the ground, and he could go to a decision. decision. I think he gets a finish, but I'm just going to say Yadia Del Valle gets the win. Second leg is Jean-Paul Lebosnoyani. I like this dude. I've been following him on Instagram. He's pretty funny on there. He's been reviewing food at the UFC PI. I reckon he's an up-and-coming dude. He's going to get this one done. Phil Rowe sucks. I think Lebosnoyani's going to get the finish. Look at this bloke. He's a fucking tank. Built like a brick shithouse. He looks a bit like Cornolle, and fuck, I love Cornolle. So we're going to go Lebosnoyani in there by double chance, TKO, or submission. Third leg, Alden, Cobra, Coria. Man, as if this bloke's not going to beat Luis Gurule. He's up and coming. He just fucking murked Alessandro Costa, who a lot of people were really high on. Yeah, we're definitely chucking Alden Coria here. I can't see him having very good odds this week, but he's definitely got to chuck add a little bit of value to your multi there. Same goes for Jacoby Smith. Kobe's going to win this fight, I reckon, by finish. So I'm going to go double chance, TKO submission. He's got sick grappling. He's got heavy hands, mad elbows, sick ground and pound. He can finish this fight on the ground however he wants as well, and I think that's exactly what he's going to do. So there's the fourth leg. It's Jacoby Smith by finish, TKO or sub double chance. And finally, this one, which I'm a little bit surprised as to how rough Sean Strickland's looking. He's a big underdog here. Last I checked, he was paying about $3.60 or something. Sean Strickland, bro, he's going to win this fight. I'm pretty confident with this one. Not as confident as I was with the Mario Batista pick, but it's Sean Strickland, bro. He's up there. He's on this high level. He's a wanker, but he can fight, and I think he's going to be a kryptonite for Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. So we're going to chuck Strickland in. He does not submit people, so it's pretty safe to go double chance, TKO or decision. Decision is very likely. KO late rounds, it's a possibility. I'm just going to go with the safe option of double chance, TKO or decision. So all those 5 legs whipped together. Didn't quite get all of it. I think I got most of the methods, but for some reason one of them was wigging out. I couldn't see the value on Jacoby Smith by double chance. It was just offering an outcome for that fight. So it should be even a little bit better than this, but I punched those 5 legs into my betting app and it gave me $16 as a 5-leg multi, which is pretty tasty if I don't say so myself. So there it is, boys, the punch on parlay. I'll whack it up on the Instagram too, just in case you forget, but there it is. Get on it with me this week, boys. It's free money. Gamble responsibly. And that'll do it, fellas. That's it. The full card punch-ons picks for the UFC Fight Night, Strickland versus Hernandez. Enjoy the card, fellas. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to Punch-Ons, and tell me what sort of shit should I be making going forward here. Do you actually like these Cook predictions videos, or do we want a bit more of just a list type of stuff? Just let a brother know and I'll get back to work. I'll see yous on the next fucking schmozzle of a video. Punch on!